All right, stocks are seesawing today as concerns over global economic fears are looming. This is all coming as UBS analysts say that the Attorney General's letter summarizing Robert Mueller's report is not likely a major market event. Joining us now to discuss it a little more and give us more insight is the founding partner of Mobius Capital Partners, Mark Mobius. Mark, great to see you. Let's start with the Mueller news. It's one of the things that investors were looking to check off their box. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Your thoughts?
I think a lot of people had more or less concluded that it would not go anywhere, that, Mueller would not come up with anything. But if you look overseas, a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, the President of the United States is under this kind of pressure. As you know, most countries in the world are either dictatorships or one-party states. I mean, you look at Russia, China. Of course, India is a very multitudinous democracy, but generally speaking, a lot of people are puzzled by that. So they're not very affected, in terms of their behavior in the markets.
Yeah, and the Democrats may not necessarily end it here. Just with this report being submitted to the Attorney General, it sounds like they want the full report, and they certainly want to explore other avenues here.
Exactly. I think this will be more of the same in terms from the Democratic point of view. And of course, Trump will continue to go on his own way and pretty much ignore what's going on in that front.
Let's talk about the global markets, since that's where a lot of your expertise lies. The market's trading a little bit lower today. Global growth concerns, that seems to be the buzzword. Worries about China. How should investors be approaching this right now?
Well, I look at the global economy from the viewpoint of the U.S. being the largest economy in the world. And if you look at the U.S., it's doing pretty well. I mean, this year probably will not be as good as last year, because last year was too good. But still, it'll be growing at a good pace, and that's going to be sort of a bellwether for the rest of the world. The interesting thing is, if you talk about China trade war, the trade deficit that the U.S. has with China is growing. It's not shrinking. If you look at the numbers for 2018 versus 2017, it's a larger trade deficit. So I don't see any big changes taking place because of this so-called trade war.
It's interesting that you say that. A lot of folks that I speak to feel the same way in terms of their analysis, yet it doesn't seem like the market feels that way, or at least it's jittery, because we keep seeing this volatility around any headline that comes out that has to do with China trade, China growth, Brexit, Europe.
Yeah. Brexit is another big problem. I think for Europe, that's going to be a big problem. Because, of course, the UK is going to be affected, but Europe is going to be affected as well. It's a real issue for Europe. So I don't see much growth in Europe, but I think China will continue to grow at a fairly good pace, and India is coming up at a good pace. India is looking at 7% growth this year, which is very, very good.
So you look at the U.S. stock market, and it's had an incredible run year to date so far, and that was starting from that bumpy ride that we saw in December. First quarter seasonally can be a little slow, so we're looking at better things potentially to come. How much more room do you think there is for this market to run?
I think it's got more room to run simply because you've had this nice correction at the beginning of the year. You see, what worried me was that you had too long a bull market. And usually when you see that, there's going to be a correction along the way. Now we've had this correction, very good correction, 15, 16, 17%, depending on which index you're looking at. So I think we've got a good run. The only problem is IPO activity.
Okay.
Because you're coming up with some huge IPOs. If you have Lyft or Uber or whatever, this can take billions and billions of dollars out of the market. So what I see is that the market's sort of going sideways, maybe slightly up, but nothing spectacular.
So basically what you're saying is money gets shifted around as these new investments come to market, and so they draw some of the attention away from the Apples of the world, the Netflixes, for example.
Exactly.
Okay.
The good news, I think, for Apple is that they're starting this streaming service. I'm happy because I just got Apple, and they said they're going to give it to us free for a while, so that'll be really great.
Well, it's like using drugs potentially, right? They'll give it to you at first for free, but eventually they're going to, once you're hooked, they're going to start charging you for it.
The only thing I asked them, don't do what Netflix does and give me these cliffhangers and leaving me hanging with these programs that they stop.
Right.
So otherwise, it's going to be very good.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of your view of the world right now. in terms of risks, right? There are a number of risks hanging over the market. Is there anything in particular that keeps you up at night, that you're most worried about?
I'm most worried about what's happening in Asia and China's concern about the South China Sea. I noticed that China just protested U.S. warships going through the Taiwan Straits. That's worrying because it means China is getting a lot more aggressive, and that there could be a confrontation with the U.S. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing we've got to watch carefully. Middle East, more of the same. You know, Latin America looks good because you've got government change, you've got reform taking place, except in Venezuela. But yeah. I think Venezuela is going to have reform coming down the street, because at the end of the day, even Russia, I understand that Russia just sent some people in to Venezuela. I think the reason for that is not necessarily to surround the U.S., but to look at their oil investments in Venezuela. Let's see what's happening there. So I think that looks pretty good. Africa, of course, more of the same. Lots of reform needed.
On Venezuela, do you think that there's a way to stabilize the current political crisis that they're experiencing before conditions deteriorate much more?
I think it's going to be more of the same. It looks like the government wants to stay in power and will do anything to stay there. The only change would take place if the military decides enough is enough. And that's possible. I mean, we just got to watch that space.
Final question. You didn't say anything about North Korea.
It's amazing what Trump has done. I mean, the good news is that we're talking, and Trump is talking to him. And I think it's going to be, again, more of the same. He's going to feel that if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll continue to threaten nuclear armaments. So it's going to be more of the same. I think the only thing that will change going forward is better relations between the South and North. The dialogue is getting better, and that's got to be good.
All right, Mark Mobius, great to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by.